At some point in your life, you've probably come across the maxim, happy wife, happy life. And to be fair, on the surface, it seems like quite reasonable advice because who doesn't want their wife to be happy? It's the woman that you've chosen to marry. So it kind of makes sense. But here's the thing, it's actually a terrible piece of marriage advice because when it is followed, it often leads to both of you being unhappy. That's the irony. So let's talk about this in more detail. So let's start this section of the video by going over a few things that tends to happen when a guy adopts this happy wife, happy life mindset. Number one is that he starts letting things slide because it's his duty to keep her happy. Number two is he essentially becomes a yes man in order to avoid conflict. And number three is he ends up prioritizing her emotions over his own. So, in other words, he doesn't have a backbone. He doesn't challenge her when she's in the wrong. He tolerates disrespect because he has no boundaries. And he says yes when deep down he really wants to say no. He's basically a doormat. And the irony of all of this, right, is that he thinks he's doing the right thing. But the side effect of this behavior is that it often leads to a woman not respecting him. I'd actually argue that in a long-term relationship that it's much, much better for a woman to respect you than it is for her to love you. And in a long-term relationship, your happiness matters just as much as hers. And this leads me perfectly onto the next point. If you break down this maxim, what it's implying is that your happiness doesn't matter. Happy wife, happy life. And in the intro of this video, I did say that there is nothing wrong with wanting her to be happy because at the end of the day, it is the woman that you've chosen to marry. But that doesn't mean at your own expense. You need to be happy as well. You see, healthy relationships are really mutual relationships, and this maxim is far from mutual. It's basically telling you to put her on a pedestal. This mindset basically turns a marriage into a customer service job. So while we're on the topic of maxims, I'm going to share with you one that I actually like, and that is if you try to please everybody, you end up pleasing nobody. Happiness is ultimately an inside job. The only person who can make you happy is yourself. And vice versa for her. The only person who can make her happy is herself. And this isn't me saying become an arsehole and don't compromise and don't meet in the middle. Because in a relationship, you will have to do all of those things. It's just me saying don't become a people pleaser and get yourself in a lopsided relationship. If she's pissing you off, you just need to be open and honest and just tell her. And vice versa for her. She should be telling you when you're pissing her off. In fact, you should encourage it. And this leads me perfectly onto the next point. One of the problems with the happy wife, happy life mindset is that the entire model, if that's what you want to call it, is based on avoiding conflict and not resolving it. And this often leads to resentment. It leads to resentment on both sides. And once resentment fully kicks in, communication tends to go downhill. Stop talking to each other. Trust issues can start creeping in to the relationship. In previous videos, I've basically said that The glue that holds people together is good communication, open and honest communication, and sex. If those things are absent in a relationship, don't be surprised if either person starts looking outside to get those needs met. And the thing is, right, a lot of guys seem to think that women only cheat because they're not getting their emotional needs met. But that's not always the case. Some women will cheat because they're not getting sexual needs met. There are a lot of women out there that are sexually liberated and love sex. And the perfect example of this kind of woman is Samantha from Sex in the City. In my opinion, of course, this is a much, much better Maxim because it's not implying that it's all about her. It's about both of you. Your needs matter just as much as hers. You both need to be bringing value to the relationship. You both need to be working together to make it work. At the end of the day, this is the way I look at it. You should be improving her life, but she should also be improving your life. You both benefit by being together.